What is up, sports geeks? It's your host, Josh, here back with another episode, joined by Alec yet again. We are chatting NFL today, even though I do really just quickly want to rep. I got the Texas sweatshirt on this past weekend. I was down at the big house for the game, and what a game. Yeah. Hook 'em, though. Hook 'em. I mean, it was a hell of a game to be at, especially as a state fan rooting against U of M. Atmosphere, I mean, was electric for U of M, but atmosphere for UT was pretty sick too. But that's all I got for that. Speaking of NFL, let's start with the Thursday night game. We had Thursday, Friday night game, primetime games were absolutely spectacular. Starting with Thursday night, yep. Isaiah Likely, he's a shoe size away from sending that game to overtime.
Yeah.
I want to hear kind of just your thoughts about the Chiefs and Ravens there, because they both looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, look, okay, so I know the whole broadcast, they were talking about Lamar Jackson losing weight. He looked like college Lamar.
Yep.
He was it kind of ruined the Friday game for Jalen Hurts for me, because I'm always like, dang, Jalen Hurts is like really athletic. You watch him after watching Lamar, it looks like everybody else is moving in quicksand. This is not a hyperbole. If you put Lamar Jackson in 1930 NFL, does he run for 800 yards a game? I'm being serious. Like, is there anyone that could touch him from like 1920 to like 1985?
You see, I can't say my 1920, 1930 ball knowledge is high enough to be able to honestly answer.
You just don't know ball.
Yeah, I guess not. But no, dude,
I'm just saying, like, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he just looked fast and thin. And my thing, too, is that he didn't look scared to take a hit, which, I mean, you can have your opinions about being scared to take hits, being smart about taking hits. I think that's the big thing, being smart about it, knowing when there's a safety full speed that's ready to rock you, and knowing when it's a standing still linebacker that's going to make a tackle. And he is taken plenty of hits in his career. I mean, go watch Louisville. He didn't slide at all, because he most of the time was putting him on the ground, touching earth. But like, he knows how to take hits, and that's what kind of stood out to me, is that it appears like Harbaugh said, "Look, dude, we need you to run. Go ahead and run. I understand you're going to take some hits. You just have to be smart about it." And he was okay with it. I mean, there were times too where you have a safety steaming down you and he just goes down. Right. But there's plenty of times where he stretches a 10-yard run into a 14-yard run because he takes a hit. But dude, Lamar looked great. Likely looked good. Andrews, I'm not as concerned about his fantasy stock as a lot of people. He was out there running routes on every single passing play. The Chiefs bracketed him really well. Likely happened to be the result of that. I don't think that's not going to sustain for the season at all. I don't think.
No, and I'm way more worried about the Ravens wide receivers than I am Mark Andrews. I mean, they're going to be running two tight end personnel sets the entire year.
Yeah,
their wideouts are, other than Zay Flowers looked pretty good in the first half. It's going to be tough with those other wideouts. Rashad Bateman,
he did have one really good catch.
Yeah. No, and I saw a stat actually on him. He has some of the best separation, like route running in the NFL. And usually that's a very good indicator of like yards, targets. He just doesn't get any targets. And he doesn't, you know what I mean? It's very weird. We've been waiting for this like Rashad Bateman breakout, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to come. So I don't know. Zay Flowers is pretty good though.
Yeah. Well, and they have the personnel to be able to run two tight end sets too, is the thing. Like, you have an extreme power back in Derrick Henry that allows you to run two tight end sets. And then you have two tight ends that can go out and run routes too. I mean, calling Likely a tight end is almost like, that's a stretch almost, I feel like, because he's such a good route runner. He's so good in the open space. He looks like a receiver. But that game.
Yeah. I want to throw something out there.
Yeah.
It might be a hot take. Okay. I know we're only like 3-4 minutes in here. Is Isaiah Likely better than Kyle Pitts? Is there a question?
I would play the other side of that and say absolutely not.
Okay. I'm just asking. I know it might be an overreaction, but I don't believe that either. But I saw something on Twitter about that, and I was like, I don't think that's true. I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you ask me in 5 weeks when I get to see Pitts with a competent quarterback. Like, if you put, like, Lamar's a very rush heavy quarterback. Don't get me wrong. That offense is a run heavy offense, but Lamar is able to make throws.
Yeah.
Like, you got Desmond Ridder is not on an NFL team right now, and he was the starter for them last year. Like, I just don't think they're comparable. If you now in week 10, if Kyle Pitts doesn't done anything, I think, and Isaiah likely continues this, then I think there's maybe a conversation. But that's definitely that's
Yeah, I thought it
somebody.
was I thought it was an overreach too, for sure.
Yeah,
I just saw that. I wanted to bring it up because Isaiah likely went off. He's probably not going to have 30 fantasy points again around there, but he looked great.
yeah, you did. So going to Friday night, Jordan Love. Towards the end of the game, that's nasty. I think sprained MCL is what I heard is that they're hoping. It's sprained MCL. They're hoping 4 to 6 weeks. That's dangerous for the Packers, like really dangerous, because this is a team that, the Lions, don't even get me started on the Lions. We should not have won that game, by the way. But you have the Lions. You have a tough division to win. And your next couple games here, as I go to pull them up, are games that you need to be winning if you want to make the playoffs. Indianapolis, Tennessee, Minnesota, your next three. This is a stretch of 3 games you need to be winning. You look at towards the end of the season, you go Houston, Jacksonville, Detroit, bye week. And then you on the road at Soldier Field, San Fran, Miami, Detroit. That's a stretch of games that's difficult. And so if you're going to lose games now, which I understand, you're going to lose probably one of these games that you wouldn't have lost if Jordan Love is playing. It's just a really bad beat for Packers fans, I think.
Yeah, and it was a tough loss on Friday for them, I think. Their defense looked horrendous still, even with Jeff Hafley coming over from Boston College. They just weren't lining up correctly. That long A.J. Brown touchdown was rough to watch from a defensive perspective.
Yeah.
You get 2 huge turnovers from Jalen Hurts beginning of the game, and you still give up 34, or was it 34? 34-29?
Yeah. Yeah, 34-29.
You get 3 turnovers and still give up 30 plus points. That's not a good night.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley looked like rookie second year, Penn State Saquon Barkley. He looked really good.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's dangerous for this league is that we saw what Saquon Barkley is capable of with an offensive line that can actually create holes for him. And he's not getting hit at the line of scrimmage every single time he touches the ball. It took a little bit for him to get going, as you would expect it would. But I think of like his 12-yard touchdown run where like the jump cut he made on that run. It's like, oh, wow. That's something that the Eagles just have not had. Like Miles Sanders was decent. DeAndre Swift was okay for them. You haven't had that since Shady McCoy. And I'm not trying to compare Saquon Barkley's jump cuts to Shady McCoy's jump cuts. Don't get me wrong here. But like you haven't had a rushing threat that you can feel confident on first down handing the ball off to and saying, yeah, for sure. We feel it's going to be second and manageable nearly every time. And they have that. And he's going to, he might lead the league in rushing yards and touchdowns this year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I really, really, I just really like the way that Saquon runs the ball. He hits the holes. He doesn't dance around. He's like the perfect running back for him. They need somebody last year where you're just going to hit the hole. You don't even think about it. The hole's a truck could fit through the hole. So don't overthink it and dance at the line. I remember Miles Sanders kind of got a little dancey at the end. I think that's why they got rid of him. And then DeAndre Swift last year, same thing as Saquon, kind of that style where you're just getting in the hole, getting as many yards as possible. So I think it's a good fit there. And I think Jalen Hurts battled back after those 2 turnovers early. I thought he battled back pretty well.
Yeah, I do think that those 2 turnovers early are concerning to me because it's something that we saw towards the end of last season. They started off 10-1 last year. And then you trended downwards big time and didn't even end up winning your division. You start a 10-1 start, you don't win your division, and you look terrible against the Bucs in the playoffs. I need something from Jalen Hurts this year. I need something good because you can't be put in this top 5 quarterback, this MVP conversation consistently if you can't really show me something that you can do. The only thing is that I think this year is the year that he can get away with not being able to do much because Saquon is going to be able to save them in games like he did this past week.
So I think he's in that weird category where he's getting paid like an elite quarterback. And I think he is an elite quarterback, but when you say elite quarterback, you think of people throwing for 4,400 yards, or Lamar rushing for 950 yards and throwing for 3,500 yards. Like, he has to produce this year.
Yeah.
And for after what the Cowboys looked like, he's gonna have to play a hell of a lot better than he did on Friday.
Yeah, and my other thing too, I mean, this last thing about the Eagles here before we actually get into the Sunday slate, which we're 10 minutes in, we're halfway through here, we haven't even touched on. But if you don't look good this year, I'm out. You have Jahan Dotson as your wide receiver 3. You have 2 wide receiver 1s on your team. Your wide receiver 2 is a Heisman winner. Like, you have a top 3 offensive line in the league. You have probably a top 3 talent-wise running back in the league, and you have what's considered to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. There's no reason this team should not be competing for a number 1 seed in the NFC. There's no reason that they shouldn't be averaging 25 plus points per game. And to me, if you don't provide me that Jalen Hurts, I'm out on you. This is kind of my deal breaker this year.
All right, I'm for it. I mean, I don't know if they can get out of the contract, but it's going to get a little weird.
Yeah, no, not like I'm out, like they need to get out of the contract. I'm just saying, like, my personal.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, personal take on him. I'm no longer a believer. But, yeah, so the Sunday slate, I mean, was great. We saw a lot of just stuff going on. I mean, it was like just a smile on my face all morning Sunday. I went and picked up some donuts, and just plopped down on the couch, didn't move. I think there's an imprint over there of my body. But we saw 2 teams win without an offensive touchdown. 1 team win without a touchdown at all in the Steelers. If you were playing against Chris Boswell in fantasy, I apologize. I mean, just an entirely crazy slate. I do want to touch on the Steelers game really quickly, though, in that Kirk Cousins looked terrible. Hopefully it's rust. If it's not by week 4, Michael Penix will be playing. And the Steelers defense looked just exquisite, though.
TJ Watt should have had 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, but he was offsides by like this much on one of them, and then there was illegal hands to the face on the other one. I don't know if he's ever going to slow down. I know he's 29; it's kind of supposed to be his prime.
Mm-hmm.
He's unbelievable. I mean, that defense is flying around. If they had a simple, like a competent thrower of the football, I don't know if you saw Justin Fields' throw chart. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
I swear to God, I'm not kidding. Go look at it. Anybody who's watching, he didn't throw 1 ball within the hashes. I'm not kidding. I swear on my life, not one over the middle. I'm not kidding. It was crazy. They can't win like that, but their defense is great.
Yeah, their defense is great. And speaking of another defense staying in the AFC North too, did not look great though this week, and that's the Browns. Offensively, just horrendous. I know Nick Chubb is going to be back at some point this season. I don't know if prime Barry Sanders could save this team right now. I mean, Deshaun Watson looks terrible. You bring in Jerry Jeudy for him. Jerry Jeudy did get a touchdown, but your offense just doesn't move the ball. Your defense is still really star-studded. They're going to be great. I mean, just because you gave up some points to the Cowboys, I don't think that you're going. I'm not pulling the trigger on the defense. I am pulling the trigger big time on this offense, though.
Yeah, it's a miracle that Jerome Ford got 44 rushing yards on 12 attempts. Deshaun Watson stinks. He, dare I say, he might be a bottom 4 starting quarterback in the NFL right now. He's unbelievably bad. He had a 9 QBR and he took 6 sacks. He's horrendous. That's all I'm going to say. It's also it's not hard to root against the guy either. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If you started watching football when Zach Wilson came into the league, would you think that Zach Wilson was a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson?
Not knowing the backstories?
No, you don't know anything about you.
And I watched what I watched on Sunday from Deshaun.
You didn't watch a single game of football before Zach Wilson came into the league, and since he's come into the league, you've watched every single Zach Wilson down and every single Deshaun Watson down.
Like Deshaun Watson on the Browns.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so let's break this down. Deshaun Watson's had 1 good half as the Browns on the Browns. 1 good half. Yeah. Zach Wilson had 1 good Thursday night game the whole game. So technically he has 1 better half of football than Deshaun Watson has.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we can even sit here and have this conversation, whether we're joking or not, right, is I mean, just is a testament to what the Browns are dealing with right now. I mean, worse. I saw a video today said worst NFL contract ever. Yeah, worst sports contract ever. Probably worst contract ever. Just deal in general. They were like, the Louisiana purchase here or Deshaun Watson contract. It's a close.
If you think about how much we paid for the Louisiana purchase, is it more or less than what Deshaun Watson got paid?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
It's gotta be close, which is crazy.
Yeah, would you rather have Deshaun Watson for 4 years or the Louisiana purchase?
Honestly, dead serious, I'd rather have like 6 acres for $230 million than
6 acres. I'd take 1.
1 acre with just a plot of land, no house on it, would be a better investment than investing in Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean, it could have like it could give you an acre of woods that I'd have to like completely.
Yeah, you're burning
everything out.
You're burning the money anyway, so you might as well not give it to him. You might as well just burn it and give it to somebody else.
Yeah, but either way, so the Browns, I mean, look terrible. Cowboys looked good, I thought. Yep. I do think that the Texans offensively looked great. Defensively, I mean, I'm not going to overreact defensively because Anthony Richardson had I believe 210-ish yards on 9 completions. I mean, the dude can sling the ball. One of them was a great. The
best throw I've ever seen.
Great throw. I mean, yeah, an unreal throw to Alec Pierce, UC legend right there. Alec Pierce had another great catch later in the game, and then he had the other one on like a deep crossing route that was nearly intercepted and instead went to the house. I'm not pulling the trigger on Houston's defense. I think they're actually going to be decent. I think the fact that they can win games like that though makes me think that this team is actually destined for a deep run because those are the games that last year and for the last several years they lose those games. And Joe Mixon looked great. Diggs looked good in the red zone. Stroud has a plethora of options this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, their offense is elite. I mean, it's a top 3 offense. So, I mean, they're going to be able to win shootouts. I think they're going to have like a Miami style offense last year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, I would agree. So the Houston Indy game, I'm just going off the top of my head here. We need to touch on the Bengals briefly. I know we won't make it long. That they look terrible though.
Oh my God. They looked so bad, and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Mike Gesicki dropped a touchdown. Tanner Hudson was playing hot potato with the football, just get in the end zone, my brother. And then fumble by Charlie Jones. Everything that went wrong could have gone wrong, and we still could have won the game. That's how bad the Patriots are, and we still lost to them. So I guess that makes us worse. But it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Brissett had 121 yards, and they still lost.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Burrow, I don't think he looked terrible. My concern is that the lack of attention downfield from him. You have one of the best deep route runners in the league. You need to be at least testing the Patriots secondary once or twice, and it didn't happen. Jamar caught all of his targets. The deepest one he had was like a deep like crossing route for 27, 26-ish. So I didn't see you take think of how successful like a back shoulder fade was for them the first 2 years. It was, an unreal hit rate, probably the best in the league hit rate. You didn't throw one of them.
Yeah, that Chiefs game when they won in 2021.
Yeah,
I was there. Jamar Chase had 280 yards or something like that. It was insane.
Yeah. So I would have liked to see that a little bit more from. I don't know how much that falls on Joe Burrow. Maybe it's Zach Taylor with the play sheet. But either way, you guys do this every year, so I'm not going to pull the trigger until it's week 3 and you're 0-3. And I don't think that's going to happen. So do have a tough game this week though with the Chiefs. So it'll be interesting to see that.
Our schedule the first 7 weeks we play like the Giants, the Panthers. There's like a couple really bad teams in there. So,
okay.
So our schedule's not that hard.
Yeah, good. So one team I wanted to touch on really quickly though, Arizona is everything that we thought they were. They put up 28 points and you lose the game. That's exactly what we predicted earlier in the year, is that this offense is going to be decent enough. Marv didn't do anything, but yet I need to prep. Yet Marv did not do anything yet. He's going to be a stud. But offense puts up 28 points and you lose the game. I mean,
that's Cardinals. That's Arizona.
Yeah, literally. Caleb Williams looks terrible. Their offense had 148 yards of total offense. I don't think that's going to continue. I think like this week, they're coming into a game, and I believe they have Houston this week. That's going to be a tough game. I expect them to lose this game, but I need to see something else out of Caleb Williams this week to show me that, like, hey, I at least made like a couple good plays, that I extended a play and hit a receiver. I don't need to see 300 yards and 4 touchdowns out of him, but I do need to see like 200 yards or maybe 300 yards of like team offense.
I think Rome's going to be out, and I don't know if Keenan's going to play, so that's going to be tough.
Yeah, so if you're in fantasy, start DJ Moore. I mean, not that you were ever questioning that, but DJ Moore's going to get peppered with targets.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on Lions really quickly. Just want to hear your thoughts on the game.
I thought they got outplayed the whole game. I thought Matthew Stafford looked unfreaking believable. Puka Nacua went down. Cooper Kupp's back. He's back. Full. I think the Lions DBs actually do look a little better this year. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I thought Rakestraw was okay, but I think Arnold's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, like, again, like, they targeted him a lot, but I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to think about who he's like playing against in week 1. Like, you are playing against Cooper Kupp, who at the top of his route is one of the best in the league. So like, and he looked like 2021 Cooper Kupp. So like this, I'm not scared about that. I do think Arnold looked good. Cooper Kupp had high praise for him after the game. I thought Carlton Davis looked good, actually.
Yeah.
They looked as a group. If that's the only game you saw, you didn't know anything about their group, their group, I would say, ooh, that was a questionable game. The fact that you have Davis and you have Witherspoon, or no, not Witherspoon. I'm blanking on his name, the slot guy right now. And Arnold and Rakestraw, all of their first games with Detroit. I'm okay with that. And that's a big game. The same way as Houston. That's a game we typically lose.
So Joseph Noteboom, the Rams left tackle, went out. This is when you know you have an elite pass rusher. It's like when you watch Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. Aiden Hutchinson is there now because he was no joke, and they said this on the broadcast. There was nothing like there. He was getting a free run to the court. There was a guy in his way, a backup left tackle off the practice squad. He wasn't really there though. It was like a chair.
Yeah.
Like it was like that's when you know that you've reached an elite pass. Like if there's a backup in the game, you were getting to the quarterback immediately every single time. And I think he's there.
You don't have to win on a pass rush. You have to lose to get there after 3 seconds. Like, and if everything else is, you are there before that. He looked great. Stafford, really quickly as we begin to wrap this up, I know we're getting a little long. Stafford and McVay, the connection between those two is so good. They are so good at using motion to identify zone, to identify man. And Stafford is a literal genius at identifying zone or man and immediately knowing what his zone beater is and immediately knowing what the route is to beat man is. It was so frustrating to watch as a Lions fan because it was 7 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards, 12 yards, just consistently because we're in zone and they throw it 7 yards over the middle and Stafford knows they're in zone. He knows which route is beating it. The combination between those two continues to get between McVay and Stafford continues to grow stronger. If wide receiver core, offensive line gets healthier, this team could be really good in the playoffs.
It was death by 1,000 cuts, and I loved it. It was just like, if you love football and you love like the game, the game behind the game, like, like you said, like using motion to know the difference between man and zone. It was a clinic.
Yes.
And they were fighting uphill the whole night. Their O-line was just awful. And they threw the ball 49 times, and Stafford was still almost 70% completion. He's a wizard.
Yeah. No, he is. One other thing too, you just mentioned, this is my absolute last point, and then we can really briefly touch on the game that we saw last night, which was just a Jordan Mason show. But if you like football, like what you were mentioning, like the game behind the game, the overtime drive from the Lions, which I will stand by this, the overtime rules suck. It benefited my team, they suck. But the overtime drive from the Lions was the most smash mouth thing I have seen since Michigan didn't attempt to pass against Penn State in the second half.
No, it was unbelievable. I was, like, I think like by the 8th David Montgomery rush on that drive, not 8, but like after like the 3rd David Montgomery rush that went for 12 yards, you knew it was just over. Like you knew it was just over.
As soon as Gibbs came in,
yeah,
and then got his whatever his reception, his 3-yard carry, and Montgomery came in on 2nd and 7, ran for a first down. Okay, game. Like, yeah.
I mean, it was over after that. They didn't even. I mean, they didn't even think about passing the ball after that. They were just.
No, the only pass they attempted was Goff caught the ball in shotgun and threw it to Gibbs immediately, and he picked up 12 on it. Like,
yeah, they were gassed, and I don't blame the Rams. I mean, they, playing against the Lions for 60 minutes is hard, and then you add 8 minutes on top, or like 6 minutes on top of that. It's not easy.
No, not at all. So really quickly, I want to touch on, I thought the Jets were a lot better than what they are. I'm really, really, really concerned about the defensive line. And I know that you have, I know you have Hassan Reddick, right, who is going to play at some point.
Terrible business decision. I feel bad for not for him because he's an idiot, but
it's if he comes back and plays, his defensive line gets a lot better. Quinn Williams is a stud. I mean, your linebackers are studs, but in your defensive backs are studs. But I'm concerned about the defensive line. But you were playing a really, really good rushing attack. So I'll give you another week or two to really show me that. I'm not concerned about Aaron Rodgers. He looked better as the game went on. You have to understand he hasn't played a football game in like 2 years because he played 4 snaps last year. So not even mentioning the fact that he's like physically recovering from an Achilles. Yeah. He mentally is also like adapting back to the game of football. Like, this week you have Tennessee. I think I need to see something from the Jets this week. Breece Hall is a stud, though. We confirmed that.
Yeah. And Breece Hall is unbelievable. Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to be really good this year, too.
Yep.
They just got in kind of people don't realize that the 49ers defense is unbelievably fast everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Fred Warner doesn't miss a hole. He plays
a robot. He's a robot.
Dude, like, you drop a running play. Here's the hole we want our running back to hit. Fred Warner's there. Well,
he's already there.
Go the other way. Yeah, he's there too. We'll go up the middle then. Well, he's also there.
He's almost so good that they could play with 10.
Yeah, I think you could. Like
I'm being dead serious. For not every play, but like for a couple of plays, he could make the play.
Like you could run a 4-2 defense.
Yeah. Yeah, you can double. I'm trying to think. I don't even know who they would double. They just take the linebacker out, just put 2 corners on. Remember how Megatron used to have the guy right behind him?
Yeah,
in the red zone. But
yeah. But either way, so this is that's our little NFL recap here of week 1. We're doing the same thing every week. This is a blast just to chat, catch up with the football. And we also have a fantasy football episode dropping. We're recording it literally right after we speak here. So both of those dropping Tuesday night. We're going to have dual episodes dropping every Tuesday night, probably late Tuesday nights, but we'll have those pretty much every week now. So other than that, though, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.